And hello, everybody. Welcome to the Weekday Warriors of Wrestling for Tuesday, December 13th. I'm Eric Clancy. I'm joined by Patrick Kelly. we had just the doozy of a story drop today that we'll be talking about. That I'm sure by the time you read this will be the only thing people are talking about. But we're also going to be talking about AEW, Ring of Honor, all those fun things, Sasha Banks, all those sorts of fun things. The big thing, though, the big thing for today, at least, is that the news story came out in the Wall Street Journal today that Vince McMahon was being has more lawsuits coming from people that allege that he either raped or sexually assaulted them, and Vince McMahon, excuse me, felt that this is a great time to possibly make a comeback, and that he got bad advice from people. Which, by the way, when I heard that, and as a Monday Night Wars nerd like myself, you may have gone there too. But my head went to, there were a lot of people around me giving me advice saying you can't lose Brett. You just can't lose Brett. And after I made the deal, I'm sorry that I did. I just love the idea of, well, I don't love the idea of anything with Vince McMahon because he's probably a rapist and he's definitely a sex pest. But but I like the bad advice. It just reminds me of that, like the '96 contract with Brett, and he's like, "Oh, people are going to be bad advice not to let Brett go."
Yeah, it's this is the most Vince thing ever, right? Like,
it's a very Vince thing.
What'd you say?
It's a very Vince thing.
Yeah, where it's like, the world's coming after him. He's got all these accusations against him, and now he thinks like, nah, I can come back. Fuck him. I'll do whatever I want.
Yeah. It's very. I'm not gonna enter. We don't bring up politics on the show as policy, and I'm not gonna bring up feelings one way or another on this person. But Vince has a lot of similarities to Donald Trump. And one of the reasons that I thought Vince was not going to resign is because he has a lot of Trumpian qualities to him. And what Trump would do when confronted with a scandal is he just like wash it aside or ignore it. Like he didn't stand take questions on it and stuff. And I'm like, there are those people like that are just like, whatever, and they it falls off their back like water. I thought Vince would be like that, and hearing this story is a lot more. It kind of reminds me of that again. So it'll be interesting to see if he can come back. He definitely can come back because he's got like 80% of the voting share. So I don't think anyone can do anything about it if he decided that. But yeah. Part of me is like, it's going to be really funny to watch all these people that got fired and then rehired get fired again when Vince comes back.
And also, like, there's the other part of it. He's 77 years old. Like,
yeah,
I don't want to sound ageist or anything, but what can he possibly offer at this point in time? Like,
and he looks terrible. Did you see that picture of him? Like I'm not talking about like the Undertaker, Brock, John Cena dinner in Greenwich Village. I'm sorry, the West Village in New York a few months ago, but there was one with him and a woman having dinner somewhere. I don't know where it was.
Is that the woman that looks strangely like Dixie Carter?
Kinda. It was just him and her at the table, right?
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah. He looks like fucking old in that picture.
Yeah, well, he's almost 80.
yeah. No, and not like, he should look old. He's old. You're right, 100%. I'm just like, he is almost 80, and I feel like I don't have a list in front of me. There aren't too many 80-year-old CEOs. They at a certain point they get on their yachts and they sail to Crete and they do whatever they do. But he's always just wanted to be in control. I was shocked when he stepped down. I was absolutely shocked, and you and I were on a hiatus during that point. Mm-hmm. Marriage, all those fun things. And we didn't get really to talk about it, but I'm just like, geez, like Vince stepped down. Like he just wants to be in control of this thing. So it's going to be interesting because more stuff is coming out, which is not good for him, but he's also like, let me do this. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a really interesting story to keep an eye on, but man, Vince fucking McMahon, what a fucking weirdo.
He is. He definitely is. And it's going to be very interesting if he does come back to see how it's going to impact the programming, because under Triple H, like, the show has been better received. There hasn't been it hasn't really shown in ratings as far as I understand, at least not for
Well,
Raw.
it did early in July and August. The ratings were humongous. The ratings in August were bigger than they were during WrestleMania season.
Oh, geez.
So they were huge. And right now, yeah, it's down, but I mean, they're against football. You know, they're down in football. It's the time period that you're really looking for is like January through August. Like what's what are the numbers then? So Triple H initially, I think there was a bunch of things WWE got a boosted momentum off of. Cody, WrestleMania being in a big stadium, the Vince allegations got people's attentions, and Triple H taking over. I think those four things kind of like really brought an eye back to WWE. But I mean, but let's say this plays out. Let's say he comes back. Like, the original leak was a political hit job. Like, there's somebody on that board that's like, we need to move away from this guy. He's a fucking liability. And that's why they did what they did. So is there repercussions for that person? Do they try to do something else with Vince? This is more interesting than anything that's on the screen. Let me tell you that. But
yeah. Again, there's a lot of wait and see involved in this, but it'll be very interesting. And I imagine Triple H at this point has kind of gotten used to being in charge and kind of likes it. So is he going to bend over and is he going to go back to just bending over and doing whatever Vince wants? I doubt it, but again, we'll see.
So the next thing I want to talk about is on Saturday. Was it Saturday?
It was Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday at 4 p.m. was the Ring of Honor Final Battle show. Excuse me. One of the many things that as we've had kind of a sparse 2022 with shows, we haven't had a lot of time to talk about this, and our hiatus kind of ran alongside Ring of Honor being absorbed by AEW. And one of the things I asked initially when he bought that was, how are you going to differentiate Ring of Honor from AEW? Because NXT kind of stole Ring of Honor's like brand, for lack of a better term, when they started doing the takeovers. And then AEW not stole that, but they like reclaimed that from NXT. So it's like AEW is essentially what Ring of Honor would have been if it had been like funded and put in better hands. So like what is the value of having Ring of Honor? And like, did Tony have a strategy for it? He mentioned trying to get it on a television show of its own. And we find out after many, many months of having Ring of Honor infect our AEW television show after Final Battle, that Ring of Honor, they got a deal. Let me tell you where that deal is going. It's going right to Honor Club, the thing that was shut down and then came back up. So they didn't get a deal with anybody except for themselves. It's $10 a month. So if you want to watch ROH TV and none of the pay-per-views, you can pay $10 a month for that in an era when it's easier to get pro wrestling than ever before. And I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
It's again, I don't know what the backstage deals were or what all the discussions going on behind the scenes, but I mean, on paper, this is just you think of the value of this. It's like, look, I get all the WWE pay-per-views for just a few bucks a month and The Office along with it. So it's the level of value that's being offered by other streaming services is just not there for Honor Club. Maybe that would have been a good deal a decade ago, but not now.
This is an L for Tony Khan. It's a huge L. And to me, it's just like, let me pontificate for a second. This is me completely speculating. None of this is based on any sort of facts or anything. I'm just like going for my gut here. But I think he was a big Ring of Honor fan. He had CM Punk in his ear, and we kind of know what CM Punk could do and get away with Tony, which was everything when he, told everybody that AEW sucks and he was the only one that could do anything and all that fun stuff. So I think CM Punk really pushed Tony to purchase Ring of Honor. And I think Tony thought that there was this endless landscape of television opportunities for Ring of Honor. And there wasn't, because Warner Brothers Discovery is a very different entity than it was before the merger. The television landscape is a very different entity than it was even a few years ago. And I think there was no home for Ring of Honor. There wasn't as robust of a market as there once was. When Tony started AEW, and it was a good idea, everybody was starved for content on the network side. They were like, we need some sort of we need 18 to 49 demos. They were throwing out shit like crazy. Now you're starting to see a little more austerity from a lot of companies. Streaming companies are pulling back. Disney Plus is cutting some of their budget. Netflix is. They're spending more than they're taking in as far as production costs. So they're trying to kind of reel this in, and network and cable television, their ratings are lower than ever. Now, it should be noted that in 2018 and 2019, their ratings were lower than ever. However, there was not this consolidation of media companies. Like right now, we've got Warner Brothers Discovery, we've got
Disney buying everyone.
Yeah, Disney has everyone. Paramount, there's only a few of them around right now, so you have fewer bidders for these processes. On top of the fact that I don't think you're going to get a WWE size deal. I don't think WWE is going to get a WWE size deal, because WWE got a big deal from Fox when they were flush with cash from the Disney purchase, and when Fox wasn't aware that SmackDown was losing money, which it is. They pay. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but they pay a certain amount, and the ads that they get only produce X amount. So there's a gap there. They're not they're essentially a loss leader. So I think people are going to be cutting back, and I think ROH is kind of that canary in the coal mine, and it's just it sucks, because I really think Ring of Honor tanked a lot of AEW programming this year. I think two things really hurt AEW Dynamite this year, and Rampage, because those numbers have been going down. I think that was CM Punk, and I think it was Ring of Honor. I think Tony now I will criticize Tony from all over from being too rigid to his original booking plans, but it is fucking clear to everyone that CM Punk was never supposed to be. He was like a late get, and when they got him, they're like, well, we got to give him the title, we got to do all this stuff. So he deviated from his plan, and he put less onus on Hangman, which hurt Hangman's reign. And then Punk was supposed to drop it to MJF at All Out, which Hangman would have done before that, but then Punk got hurt, so they pushed it back, and they're like, we'll do it at Full Gear, and then the Punk stuff happened. So Punk put a major wrench in what he was going to do, and then Ring of Honor did, because you only have 2 hours of television on Dynamite each week. That's valuable time. That's time that could be used making sure Wardlow is not getting cold. That's time that could be used for keeping some of your young stars hot and putting them in different programs and featuring them. But instead, we're getting Samoa Joe and Jay Lethal and these TNA-esque names all over the company that with 800 titles that nobody cares about, and it's watered down the product and people don't like it. And I guess he's finally got the message, because he's it's off the TV now. I don't understand how he's going to promote these pay-per-views with a $10 a month service. He had 30,000 buys or 35,000 buys for the most recent pay-per-view, and that was their biggest ever. So if you get 35,000 people, which you're not going to get because that was for your pay-per-view, you're going to 30,000 people is enough to keep this thing alive? I don't think so. So I think this is a loss, and I think Ring of Honor is going to disappear. There's Patrick. I know you're a big Ring of Honor fan. I know I'm not a big Ring of Honor fan. I know you're a fan. You lived in Baltimore. You went to shows, but there's kind of a reason that it went out of business when it did. It wasn't fulfilling a market niche that was needed.
No, and I'll tell you, there was a huge difference because I went to one show. I forget the name of it, but I did go to one show with John and Papa, who you know quite well.
Sure, I do.
Yeah, and we went to one of the shows, and they had a line out the door. The place was packed. The autograph session before the show, line was out the door. The Elite was there at that time. You had Cody and the Bucks, and they were the main draw that for that particular event. And then we went to another one a year later, and the Elite was already gone at this point. I think AEW was kind of in their planning stages. They hadn't done Dynamite had not debuted yet. And it was not the same crowd, same exact venue, but not the same crowd. The same energy just wasn't there. And it felt like the existence of AEW kind of supplanted Ring of Honor and kind of defeated any need for it. And it was just by the time, even before COVID rolled around, Ring of Honor was basically a dead and dying brand. There was just no energy there.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, no, 100%. And like, I think that was an emotional purchase by Tony. It wasn't like a logical purchase, and we're kind of seeing where that goes. So,
I'll be honest, when he bought it, I thought what was going to happen was he would make use of the tape library somehow, like get that on a streaming service somewhere, and I thought he would like bring in some champions, unify a bunch of belts, and do like a mini invasion angle, and that would be it. But it's turned into kind of this weird mishmash of I can't tell if I'm watching AEW or TNA or Ring of Honor or what the hell, or New Japan or what the hell's going on. It feels like somewhere this year, and it started with the purchase of ROH, AEW kind of lost its identity a little bit.
Yeah, he definitely didn't do those things you talked about, Patrick.
Literally none of
them. So let's move on to our next topic, which is the big news that Sasha Banks, or Mercedes Moné, or Monet, I don't know how we'll say her name until it's pronounced by someone who's not me, is going to be...
You ever see History of the World?
Yes, I have.
Count to Money?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought of when you said her name. It's Day Monet.
Yeah, yeah. She's going to be at the Tokyo Dome on January 4th,
which is huge. Female talents are just recently starting to be more integrated into like New Japan stuff through like the working agreement with Shimmer and everything like that. So to get a star like Sasha Banks and I'll keep calling her that until I get used to the new name, but to get her to appear at that show kind of further solidifies the idea that the Tokyo Dome show is it's the WrestleMania of Japan. And it kind of reminds me when they got Jericho a few years back.
So the bigger issue with this is the fact that there was a report by Raj Giri in, I think, June, and it was that Sasha and Naomi had been released from their contracts, but they had a 6-month non-compete clause. Sasha had been telling people, from what we understand, that she couldn't take any bookings until January. Now she has this show that's not WWE affiliated on January 4th. Tony Khan has announced in January there's a tag team match. It's Britt and I think Jamie against Saraya, which is so stupid sounding, and a mystery partner. Everyone and their mother are going to assume that mystery partner is Sasha. If it's not Sasha, Tony Khan needs to get ahead of that shit right now. If it's like Thunder Rosa, he needs to say that because it is going to be worse received than Christian was when he came in for Revolution. However, I do think it is Sasha. AEW needs a spark. They have been, I feel like, ice cold since All Out. And this could, I would prefer like a big overarching storyline personally, but getting a new star, a big star, is always helpful. And honestly, Patrick, like, I can't think, unless they got like Roman, or Brock, or like Cena or Rock. I mean, one of those. But as far as active wrestlers, beyond Roman, I don't see a bigger name that they could bring in except for Sasha.
Who, has acting cred. She was in The Mandalorian. I mean,
Yep.
he's got some crossover appeal. And also, there's another built-in storyline to go with here because she was the one that worked with Paige when Paige got hurt. So there's your feud, there's your storyline.
Which she posted, it's the 10-year anniversary from her first NXT match where she wrestled Paige, which she put on her Instagram today, which is interesting, of course. But I mean, she's one of the very few people that's legitimately a needle mover. Like, there have been matches and stuff. Like, listen, I like Sasha Banks. I think she's great, but I know that there are fans out there that are like incredibly intense super fans for Sasha. Mm-hmm. Whatever, that's fine. But there's been like major shows where she's like spiked a rating that is above the baseline, which is what you're looking for people to be like true draws, like not someone who's like, oh yeah, they're going to increase attendance at like this Armory show or whatever, but somebody who can actually like make a noticeable difference on television ratings, buy rates, pay-per-views, things like that. So I mean, I think, like, we've talked about it for years. There's been a gap between WWE and AEW in the women's division. AEW in the past like 8 to 10 months has closed that gap. They've done a lot of work on that. But I mean, if you're telling me that you go into 2023 and you have Saraya, Sasha, Britt, Jamie, Thunder Rosa, theoretically, Tony Storm. What'd you say?
I would throw Jade Cargill in, just for she looks like a superstar.
Yeah. Like Ruby Riott. Like, you've got a division. Like you really do. And that would be, I think that would be huge. I think that would get a lot of press for them and be a big deal. So we'll see how that goes. But I do believe
the poison pill here, kind of like, just to throw this out there. Everything you said about Sasha is completely true. Big star, big name, great talent, would be huge if AEW got her. But is there a chance that this could be a repeat of the CM Punk situation where it starts off great, but then kind of the less desirable personality traits start to take over a little bit? Because, I mean, keep in mind with Sasha, she walked out on WWE twice now. So it's kind of like, we weren't there for those behind the scenes events, so we don't know what caused it, what led to those things happening. But did she have legitimate grievances with WWE, or is she kind of a troublemaker herself? We don't know. And that's something I guess we're not going to find out until, or if and when she shows up on AEW programming.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I heard someone bring that up as well, and I think it's a really interesting thing to contemplate. So what we've learned about CM Punk after his AEW run is, like, WWE could have given him that WrestleMania main event, and I think he still would have found something to be unhappy about. CM Punk and AEW had everything he wanted. He was the top star. He was featured everywhere. He beat everybody clean. He was the biggest star, and he still found something that pissed him off. And, like, he had to blow everything up. So I think that is just in his personality. Is Sasha like that? Could be. I mean, in Sasha's defense, she's never really been the guy. I mean, or the gal, whatever you want to say. She's won the title a few times, but gives it up immediately seconds later. She had her longest run, I think, was the time she dropped to Bianca Belair. So, like, what if she got a sustained run? Would that like make her happy? The fact that would get featured matches against top stars, the fact that she would be able to go to Japan and work those matches, would that make her happy? I don't know. I think it's an interesting question. My gut would lean towards not being a CM Punk situation, but I mean, I didn't think CM Punk would be a CM Punk situation. So who knows? I think it's interesting. I do think in my gut that AEW has signed Sasha Banks for for January, and that is the mystery part of the star. So I would be surprised if it's not her, but I think it'd be a great get for them.
Yeah, and like you said, if it's not her, they need to go ahead and reveal it now, just to kind of dispel get ahead
Dump
of
some
it.
cold water on that thing.
Yeah, absolutely, because that's going to be a major. Because really, who else could it be? That's gonna like. Let's say they got Naomi. Like nobody. No offense to her, nobody's going to care.
No, there's a difference in star level there. Yeah.
Yeah, and if it's Thunder Rosa coming back, nobody's going to care. Like, she's the only one it can be.
Do we have mail this week?
Let me double check.
While we're waiting, ladies and gentlemen, I've actually had nothing to to say, but I do know that Patrick is probably looking in the mailbag right now.
I am. Okay, so we've got a couple.
All right, we got a couple. We'll do some mail.
All right, from negative.
I like how we say it like you have a bag of letters.
I'm just like Santa Claus over here.
Yeah.
All right, so from negative Negaduck, favorite movie of 2022.
Oh my God, what even came out? Hold on, let me take a look. You go first because I need to see even what came out.
Without a doubt, for me, Top Gun Maverick. And that's something I never expected to say. When they first announced that movie, I laughed because it's like, why are you making a sequel to a 40-year-old movie? I don't understand it. I don't get it. I'm sick of all these reboots and all this other stuff. But Tom Cruise, the mad genius that he is, put on an absolutely amazing theatrical experience with amazing flight sequences and a nice, solid, simple story to make everything work and tie everything together. So Top Gun Maverick was exciting, enthralling, and by far my favorite movie of the year.
Okay, so I am going to say Top Gun Maverick too. Now I'm gonna caveat this with the fact that I did not see a ton of movies this year. Ever since COVID, I have not been, and also I'm like a dad, so it's harder for me to see stuff. But I will say that was probably my favorite movie of the year, and I did not like the original Top Gun. I think the original Top Gun is terrible. It's like an awful bad movie. It like you have no idea what's happening. They don't define who the bad guys are. Which they
still don't do in this movie.
No, but the mission is clear. The mission and what they're doing is super clear. In that one, they're kind of training, but like there's no actual like thing. But then stuff happens. Like it's like fucking sucks. The original Top Gun is like it's like objectively just a terrible movie. However, the new Top Gun is fantastic. And in an era of CGI, the fact that they like did these stunts in these planes is like fucking nuts. And it's like cool. And I think it came out in a moment of time where people kind of needed that type of movie. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm far from like a rah USA, like, like type of guy. Like, I mean, not that I'm like anti-America or anything like that, but I'm not like, I don't go for white meat babyface movies like Hulk Hogan, but this one was fantastic, and I had a great time, and I'd highly recommend it.
Absolutely. Next question from Nun Man. It's an interesting name. Makes me think it might be a Mega Man villain or something. But favorite wrestling pay-per-view of 2022? I guess PVE is the new term.
PLE, a premium live event. Well, is it pay-per-views or premium live events? I
will say pay-per-views until I die. It's ingrained into me.
Yeah, you go first. I have mine, but you go first.
I have two that stick out to me. One, and this is the one I'm going to give as my answer, with the other one being a very close runner-up. SummerSlam. This was the first pay-per-view under Triple H's new creative direction, and I thought the show was exciting from start to finish, including a wild Roman Reigns-Brock Lesnar match that I thoroughly enjoyed, something I never thought I would say about a Roman Reigns-Brock Lesnar match, right, especially now. So yeah, it had the big stadium, WrestleMania type of feel to it. It was just an exciting show all the way from start to finish. My runner-up and it might surprise you, Impact Slammiversary 2022, which
what the fuck happened on that show?
I know it was the 20th anniversary of that company, TNA, Impact Wrestling, whatever. And I watched it, and for TNA nostalgic reasons, it was actually a lot of fun to watch. It was like, oh, it's like watching a reunion show, or they referenced TNA's history a lot. And Dixie Carter was on the show, and AJ Styles was even he did a pre-tape and was on the show, and it was like, yeah, this is fun. I liked it, and I was thoroughly entertained by it.
Nice. I think my top show is going to be All Out 2022. The reason I like this show is because, and obviously I like most of AEW shows. However, my biggest complaints, and the complaint that continues, and I hope they eventually change it, even though they might not. Patrick agrees with me, is that I don't need a 10 million 20-minute matches and the show just drags forever, and like everything is trying to be Okada and Omega and like whatever. And also then you just end the show and it's like somebody won and here you go, great job. This show, first of all, it had a bunch of like matches that broke things up. Like Jade Cargill and Athena was short, Hobbs and Starks was short, Christian and Jack Perry was like 2 seconds long, and it told an interesting story. There was a lot of story on this show, particularly MJF winning the casino ladder match and then revealing himself after the big Moxley Punk match. So I thought it had a nice beginning, middle, and end to it, and you threw a lot of stories in there. Now, these stories didn't get paid off for obvious reasons, but for that night, I thought it was like a fantastic show. I know people had some issues with it because of I think because of the reasons I mentioned, that like, oh, they MJF like stole the show from CM Punk, which like, I mean, you're supposed to like tease the next thing. And also like, oh, the certain matches were too short, but I thought those were positive. So I will go All Out 2022.
You know what? I would probably think much higher of All Out had the Punk thing not happened post-show, because that really stole a lot of the thunder coming out of what I thought was a very hot pay-per-view, unfortunately.
So I'm able to divorce it and like, yeah. And that way, in fact, it almost gives a bit of a mystique to it, because it's like, that's the show where all this shit happened. Also, it had that insane acclaimed Swerve in Our Glory match.
Amazing match. Yeah, that one of the best matches of the year, I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, final question from Gabe Johnson. What movies are you looking forward to next year in 2023?
Why are there so many movie questions today? Guys, ask more questions about Nitro in 1996. Come on. We need a bunch of weird questions about Desperado Joe Gomez.
Absolutely.
Yeah, next time more Joe Gomez questions. Seriously, don't ask Joe Gomez, but like, whatever. Just less movie questions. Go ahead, Patrick.
My pick. Well, I have two, and they're both from the land of the rising sun, Japan. One is Shin Ultraman, which I am getting to see a screening of in January. Which is
what a dork!
Yeah, January, I believe 11th and 12th. One screening's in English, one is in Japanese. So be sure to check that out, you Tokusatsu fans. And also in 2023, new Godzilla movie coming out from Toho Studios. We probably won't get it until 2024, but I'm excited for it.
Wait, what is it? It's a Toho one, so it's like post Shin Godzilla?
Post Shin Godzilla, we don't know anything about it. They've only shown a poster, and yeah, but it's coming out.
Okay. I haven't thought about this, so I need to go through Wikipedia 2023 in film before I answer this. Oh, there's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing, but it looks animated. It's animated. Yeah, I don't care about that. All right. Yeah, there's an untitled Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel. That's interesting.
You don't have to make that. I'm just saying. You don't. Please stop.
Did you not like Ghostbusters Afterlife?
It was. Well, I didn't see it, but
it's good. It's good.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I'm legitimately surprised.
I mean, Harold Ramis is in it. Even though he's dead, he's in it. It's great.
Okay. Maybe I should give it a chance.
Yeah, no, I would recommend it. You can pretend the 2016 version doesn't exist and just watch this thing.
Oh, great.
I have. Okay, so I'm gonna go. All right, I got two. One, I'm gonna go for my Marvelness, and one I'm gonna go like actual movies. I would say Guardians 3
Okay.
because it's the best of all the Marvel movies coming out, in my opinion. I'm a MCU guy, always have been, ride or die. But I actually just watched the holiday special on. I don't know why they call it a holiday special. It's a Christmas movie, but so my Jewish friend was watching it. He's like, yeah, it was okay. He's like, but why they call it a holiday special? It's a Christmas movie, and I was like, that is true. There's no Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or New Year's in there, but so yeah, I'm excited to see that. As far as non-MCU, I think Indiana Jones as like the final bow for Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, and from what they're saying, Indiana Jones in general, it sounds like it's time travel, so that could be like super fun and cool. So I've always been a big Indiana Jones fan. I don't know how Patrick feels about this. He may like not he may not agree with this, but I thought that Crystal Skull got a bad rap. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's better than Raiders or Last Crusade because it's not. I will sit here and tell you it's better than Temple of Doom because Temple of Doom is terrible. But yeah, I'm excited to see like the last ride of Indiana Jones. Yeah, it's always been just a great summer movie, so I'm excited to go see that. Yeah, so I think that's the movie I'm like outside of Marvel that I'm most interested in seeing.
Yeah, I can speak for my feelings on the Indiana Jones films. It's kind of similar to it's kind of the inverse of the classic old original series Star Trek films where there's the odds and evens rule where the even number ones are really good and the odd number ones are bad. With Indiana Jones, it's kind of flipped where the odd number ones are the good ones and the even ones are kind of the off ones. I mean, I don't hate Temple of Doom and I don't hate Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but they're definitely of a lower quality compared to the other two. But I mean, hopefully this one turns out well. It's an odd one, so we're due for a good one.
Yeah. So we will see. But yeah, we should be back next week. We can probably do like a year-end show next week or something. But
Talk about the Royal Rumble. Give our thoughts on who might win that thing.
oh, we could do a rewind.
Ooh, yay.
Yeah, and so we'll just chat old wrestling and stuff. But if you guys want to send us some more mail, maybe it's about movies, maybe it's about Joe Gomez, who knows? Patrick, give them that email address.
Email address is weekdaywarriors2020@gmail.com. It will also be posted in the description of this video.
And we we're happy you guys listen to us. Always appreciate any share, likes, comments, all that fun stuff. All the shit that the teenage YouTubers tell you to do that for us too. These old men. But yeah, so I think we're gonna head out. But for Eric Clancy and Patrick Kelly, we are
signing off.